Welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings podcast with Ken Smyers and Eric Stromquist. Control news you can use. And now, here's your hosts, Ken and Eric.
All right, here we go. Hi, and welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings podcast. This is Control Talk Now for the week ending November 23rd, 2014. We're getting close to Turkey Day, and I am joined, as usual, by my co-host, the one, the only, the infinitesimal, I don't even know if that's a word, Kenny Smyers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hey, Kenny, welcome to the show. I understand you guys are running around in shorts and T-shirts in Pittsburgh. Is there any accuracy to that statement?
We sure are, Eric. It's a balmy 16 degrees. Well, now it went up, so it's probably like 23. We're flirting with that sleet. It's going to get warm enough that it's going to be snow, ice, rain, all mixed, and just have a wonderful driving conditions. But again, no complaints here. I'm on 2 feet walking. It's good. And but the question is, how cold is it in Georgia?
Well, I hadn't been out yet. I'm going around in shorts and T-shirts too, but I'm inside. So I don't know yet, but I tell you what, it's been pretty chilly in the Stromquist household. My lovely wife, Anna, as most of our listeners know, is about 5 months pregnant with our next child, and our daughter, Evelyn, is very precocious. So taking care of her is a full-time job, and she is... everybody's doing well, but I am alone in the house. Thank goodness. So we have a chance to do Control Talk now. And so it's been interesting. It's been chilly inside, probably a little bit warmer outside, but I think it's probably, Kenny, in the 40s. It was up to 70 yesterday. So this week it's been like where you wake up in the morning, It's in the 20s or 30s, and by the afternoon it's in the 70s. That's how it rolls in Georgia. But I will tell you, in the past episodes, I had recommended that everybody get rid of their Amazon stock because I thought the Amazon model was not working. Well, I am here to tell you I stand corrected. My wife Anna has pointed out to me that Amazon Prime is the greatest thing in the world because she has discovered that she can order our dog's dog food, which is kind of a specialty dog food that she has to go out and get, and it's big bags of it. She can order it, Kenny, on Amazon Prime, pay $5, and it's on the doorstep the next morning in time for her to feed the dog. So I have to rethink the Amazon proposition, at least vis-a-vis dog food and other stuff like that. I'm not sure about controls yet.
I hope not controls all the way, huh? We'll be out of a job.
Yeah, me too. But fascinating company if you think about it. Amazon, if you talk about somebody that just has scaled it up to the infinitesimal level. I keep using it. What's the word I'm trying to use there, Kenny? I tried to describe you as that. It's sticking in my head for some reason.
I didn't. Infinite.
Infinitesimal.
Infinitesimal is, I think that's like an incalculable, a very small number,
Oh, small number. I called you a small number. I stand corrected again, Kenny. I'm just screwing this podcast up. If I do it again, we're going to start the whole damn thing over. I meant like you're infinite, and I meant like whatever. All right. So anyway, Amazon. Check those guys out. They are rocking and rolling. I think the stock just broke out again this week, so going to be very interested to see what they do. But Kenny, tell me a little bit more about you. What have you been up to?
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and, if you don't mind, the infinitesimal means an extremely small, minute quantity. So we don't want to be the man machine or the infinitesimal. That's like that would be reducing me down to a tiny mote.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what. I did not. I meant the exact opposite of that. So, but we do have a vocab word of the week now on control trends. So infinitesimal, which means down to the smallest.
Minuscule amount.
So
An indefinitely small quantity, a value approaching zero.
So in other words, when I see my beautiful wife, I need to say, look, let's take the complaining down to an infinitesimal level.
Infinitesimal, yes, infinitesimal level. That's a good idea.
She'd probably say, you calling me a baby? Actually, my wife's a doctor, so she probably knows what that means. So holy smokes, I got to be careful.
Infinitesimal. So it's infinitesimal.
All right, there you go, big dog.
5 syllables, 6 syllables. Holy moly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 syllable word.
So Kenny, let's start out a little bit before we get to the sponsor of the week. Let's start out with the control poll, the control trends barometer. Let's talk a little bit about that. What do you say? And give people the results on that so far.
Well, Eric, it was a great idea you had. The Control Trends community is a very participating community, and you had the idea of why not take a barometer of the business and how people they feel optimistic, pessimistic, particularly coming up on the election years and stuff, and the start of a new year. So I thought it was a great idea, but. We have a couple of just real simple questions, and then are you up more than 10% business-wise, up 10% or less, flat, down 10, or down more than 10%? And tell us about the responses.
Actually, Kenny, it's great. We're getting really good responses on this, and part of the reason we're mentioning this is we're going to keep this poll up. You can actually review the results, so you can see them. You don't have to do any emails or any email address or anything like that. It's just as simple as clicking on the button that corresponds to what your view of 2015 is. And actually what we're looking for is 2015. How do you see your business, your controls business in 2015? Do you see it being up more than 10%, up 10% or less, flat, down 10% or less, or down more than 10%? And Kenny, our results for this week so far, we have 36.36% people saying that 2015, their controls business will be up more than 10%. 36% say it'll be up 10% or less. 9% say it's going to be flat. 4% down 10% or less, and about 13% down more than 10%. So it'll be interesting to see how this changes over time. So please, if you haven't participated in that poll, just click on it, send it to your friends, and hopefully this will be a really good barometer for people to sort of gauge how 2015 is going to be looking for them. We'll keep this up, Kenny, I think probably till January.
It's global too, Eric. I see that we've got people from Australia, Austria, United Kingdom, and some others there. So it's pretty neat. So yeah, why not? Just give kind of the, like you say, the barometer. How do people feel? Optimistic, pessimistic, and not just here in America, North America, but around the world.
Yep. So far it's looking pretty good, Kenny. With about 72% of the people saying they're going to be up over next year, up over last year. So that's encouraging so far.
Now, I could ask you this. Do you have an ulterior motive here where you're trying to show how if you're involved in the HVAC and you're a young gun coming up in the business and you're learning some facet of the HVAC industry that you've got a good outlook on the economic future? Is that what you're trying to do?
You know what? I didn't even think about that, Kenny, but that's a really, really good idea. And so for our listeners who might not be aware, Kenny and I, along with Ken Sinclair and some others in the industry, are on a crusade to attract younger talent into our industry. Kenny and I are calling them the young guns. I think Ken Sinclair probably calls them that too. But we think this is a great industry. And if you listen to people like Kenny and I do where we were at Jim Young's Realcomm Ibicon, listening to Paul Oswalt, who owns a big contracting systems integrator business up in the Wisconsin area. And Paul's one of the great thinkers in our industry. And Kenny, I'll never forget the quote he made. He said, basically, if half your company's not under 25 years old, you're pretty much in big trouble going forward. It's a new generation of people coming into the business. They're innovative. They need to be motivated differently. They think differently than the people we're used to. But we got to get youth in our industry. So we are, along with Ken Sinclair and others, trying to attract younger people into the industry. And you're right, Kenny, this could be a really good thing, is put that out there. If you want to get in an industry that's growing, check out Controls.
Absolutely, Eric. Which brings us to the next phase, and we're going to talk about Neptronics. Our platinum sponsor for the week ending November 23rd is Neptronics, winner of 2 innovation awards. Just a manufacturer of HVAC controls, electric actuators, actuated valves, humidifiers, and electric heaters. Bunch of great guys led by Baggio De Lorenzo and Luis Melgares. Quite a company, quite a story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Neptronics?
Well, Kenny, if you follow Control Trends, you and I and your brother Dave Smyers made a pilgrimage to Montreal, Canada to go visit Neptronics. And what a great trip we had. First of all, great hospitality on their part. Great group of people. I say Neptronics is one of the best kept secrets in the industry, Kenny. We saw a lot of their VAV controllers. Very high quality, very innovative, and sort of where they fit in the market niche, Kenny, I think is if you just sort of need a lower cost VAV controller, if you're in a competitive situation, this is a great alternative to use their VAV controllers. Very well made, very well priced. So they've got a great VAV controller, which, by the way, is up for the VAV Controller of the Year at the 2014 Control Trends Awards. But getting to meet those folks, Kenny, and just see their facility, get to talk to their people, see their dedication to quality and some of the innovative products they make was just fantastic. I think they're the only people on the planet that make and have sold 24K thermostats, 24 karat gold covered thermostats, which I'm surprised they didn't make it to the Control Trends Awards for Best Thermostat of the Year. I think you call them the Trump thermostats, so you've already got a pitch in for Donald Trump. If he sees those things, he's going to buy a bunch of them. But innovative crew, what were your thoughts?
Well, Neptronic, like you said, is the best kept secret. I think the whole thing about North America is we're finally starting to become a little bit more aware of just how powerful and potent Canada is and how important they are as economic partners and how many great products and solutions come out of Canada and talented people. Excuse me. I think the first thing that I got such a charge out of was that they had so much innovation and history of they had the first ball valve actuator assembly, and they had the first capacitance fail-safe option for valves, and now they're kind of the industry standard. So Neptronics has a great history and background, and they also have a 5-year warranty on all their products. So I mean, it's all about quality, it's all about innovation, and they just do a good job. And like I say, because of the Control Trends Awards and because of the light that we're shining on, the illumination we're providing the entire industry, we have a wider swath of coverage, and that certainly includes Neptronic. And I think that it's helping everybody. It's helping people with solutions. They have a standalone VAV application. Of course, it integrates with BACnet. And so I know that their products are very, very popular and successful in our area now.
Really are, and they're up for several of their awards. Luis is up for Best Technical Support, and Bazio is up for the HVAC Controls Manufacturer Small Executive of the Year. So I'll tell you what, those guys are anything, Kenny, but infinitesimal.
Infinitesimal. It's 6 syllables, so infinitesimal.
Yeah, they are big, and we're glad we're able to help shine the light on those guys a little bit. So check those guys out, Neptronics.com, and we thank those guys very much for their sponsorship for the 2014 Control Trends Awards. They'll be there along with all the other greats in the controls industry January 26, 2015 at the AHR show in Chicago. You'll be there the 6 to 8. Come check it out. Reach out to our sponsors. They're the ones with the tickets. Kenny, quick update. We're doing the math, and it could be standing room only. We might even have to turn some people away this year.
Well, it certainly required a configuration change to the setup. We were going to do a banquet seating arrangement, and that won't facilitate the number of people that we know are already coming. So we have to do a modified version of what we call a reception / theater seating, but all the sponsors will be well taken care of. But you're right, so if people do want to come, we're hoping that we can make arrangements for it, because we have people saying they're coming, and if they're not going through a sponsor that already has tickets secured for them, then there may be an issue of the availability of tickets.
Yep. So you can look on the sponsor page at our platinum sponsors. They have the most tickets. Reach out to them. If you, for example, are a Neptronics customer or a Honeywell customer or a Johnson Controls customer, EasyIO, Belimo, you name them, the best of the best are platinum sponsors for the Control Trends Awards. Reach out to them and say, hey, I want to go see the man, the myth, the legend, that infinitesimal partner of his at the Control Trends Awards. So
infinite, not infinitesimal. That's low. We want high side there. Come on.
All right, big dog. Thanks, Neptronics. Kenny, we had a big week on the site this week. Let's talk a little bit about some of the posts and some of the things that were going on. What would you have up first?
Love to, Eric. U.S. Department of Energy webinar on smart grid data privacy, a voluntary code of conduct. Is that an oxymoron or whatever you call it, or some kind of a impossible? Is like business ethics. I remember reading in the early days where
they call that an oxymoron. I do know that.
Yeah. So anyhow, but actually, this was very consistent. This came out the day after our Control Talk Now last week post. It came out Monday, and it's so November 17th. They notified the community at large, the smartgrid.gov community at large, and we were forwarded the email link. And basically, on Wednesday, December 11th, December 11th, 2014, the Energy Department's Office of Electricity Delivery and Energy Reliability, in coordination with the Federal Smart Grid Task Force, will conduct a webinar to conclude the developmental phase of a voluntary code of conduct, a VCC, related to the privacy of customer energy usage data for utilities and third parties. And so now they know that background is throughout the United States. Intelligence is being added to the grid through the deployment of advanced technologies and grid modernization efforts. This increased intelligence has led to concerns regarding consumer data, access, and privacy of the consumer energy consumption. Historically, utilities have taken have taken their responsibilities. I mean, because it's just so interwoven with so much of privacy and security protection. But the fundamental objective to save, to make our smart grid efficient, has upstaged the privacy and security issues. Security, of course, now has taken upstaging, the importance of the intelligence and smart grid. So we've got these three issues running side by side of equal importance. Smart grid, getting maximum energy efficiency out of the grid. Security of the grid, we can't afford to have people hacking and shutting things down or disturbing or disrupting. And then third, the privacy is a real issue. So what they've done is they've come up with a invitation for participation. So they want you to email this to your colleagues, to the smartest people you know, to the most concerned people you know, and get involved, and then be part of the process. Don't come back and complain when something doesn't meet your standards a year from now because you didn't have any active role in it. So I realize that sometimes you wonder about the efficacy of getting involved in this kind of stuff. I mean, do you really make matter and whatever? But at least you'll feel like you'll, number one, be on top of it. You'll know, and number two, is if you have the if you have that participation, you have the satisfaction of maybe making, a dent. Maybe somebody will listen to what you say. So,
well, Kenny, for those who might not, we've talked about this several times on the show. Break it down. So, what are the privacy issues? Why are people even concerned about this? Give people a little bit of backdrop about some things that people are concerned about.
Well, occupancy, first of all, number one is if you want to pay for more electricity and you have the money to afford it, that's your right to buy more electricity. If you're an older person and you don't want to be at 69 degrees or 68, you want to be at 72 because you have arthritis and you have a rough time getting up and down the steps, you want a warmer environment and you can afford it, it should be your right to buy it. A lot of people believe that their rights to buy something, their rights to control over their own domicile, their own residence, is of more importance than some smart grid action where we have utilitarianism, the greatest good for the greatest number. So you have that issue there. Who has the higher right? Who's higher shelf on the triage of importance, and who's so who's going to control the destiny? So right now the government's won that. So two is the information is being sold, it's being aggregated. Who's using what data for what information? And this aggregation is a monetized opportunity. The question is who shares in those revenues? And the answer back is that you don't share in that, but because you're more efficient, you ultimately share on your bill. So that's kind of take it or leave it. That's the way it is, the way I understand it. You're not going to get any credit unless you invest in a utility company that's aggregating this information and selling it. You won't see any kind of a dividend on this new smart grid. Three is that because it's so potent, smart meters have the ability to not only determine, to coincide with other smart devices inside the residence, like the occupancy sensors. You can actually use this, in terms of forensic. You can either prove or not prove that people were inside the residence based on the energy consumption that would be associated with occupancy. And then the last one is that you can actually break down, these smart meters are so intelligent, some of them, that you can actually see what's being used, the size of the equipment, how many computers are in use, whatever. So you can actually, you can glean a lot of information that's not necessarily discernible when you first talk about it. But I have in front of me a document sent, I don't know if I've already read this, but it's the Introduction to Smart Meters, and it's an amazing social marketing masterpiece. And it says, what if I don't want a smart meter? The company is required by Pennsylvania law to install one. For all so they're required by law to install a smart meter on all the Pennsylvania customers. When will it be installed? Immediately. They're working around the clock to get this thing installed and get it up to speed. Are you concerned about privacy? Are you able to track when my house and my family's home or my business is occupied? The answer was no, emphatically no. The meter does not provide us with information regarding the occupancy of your home or business or the activities of those in your home or business. In addition, the meter is able to track your hourly usage but cannot measure the usage of individual appliances or electrical devices within your home or business. Now, that is directly contrary to something we've read about the California meters.
Well, I tell you what, my BS meter is just, it's pinging all over the place. So to put it in context, Kenny, so we're already being lied to, at least you guys in Pennsylvania are. And when something goes into law, that basically means that somebody paid some politician to push it through. So,
ouch.
I mean,
ouch.
well, it's true. I mean, think about it. So here, the pros of the smart meter are it does allow us to control the energy consumption better. So I think it does give the government a handle on, how to manage brownouts and stuff like that. And I think the downside right now, the privacy issues are pretty benign, right? I mean, so there's not much of a threat. But the people that are really arguing about the privacy issues are the people that point out that throughout history, when countries have been toppled or, people have abused power and gotten in power and abused it, it's always started out with some sort of a benign movement that was going to be for the greater good, that, everybody was going, well, we're giving up a little bit of privacy, but who cares? And their point is, once the cat gets out of the barn or the cow gets out of the barn, you're not getting it back. There's probably great metaphors you can think of, but it's like there's going to be no turning back from this. So that's people's concern, the whole privacy thing, that once they know where you are and can see what kind of electricity you're using, whether you're in your house or not, they're saying, who's to say that, they couldn't put the whole country under martial law, and they know that Ken Smyers is in his house, and, Ken's been a bad boy because he hadn't done what we want him to do, so we're gonna turn his AC up in the middle of winter to freeze him out to punish him. I mean, who's to say all that couldn't happen? It seems unfeasible now, like it could never happen, but I think all you have to do is go back throughout history and see, how the great societies have all eventually toppled through somebody taking advantage of a powerful tool like this.
Well, Eric, that's kind of there's a couple of books that are written about that, and The Brave New World and some of the other good books of how that starts. But I think in realistic terms, I think it's a battle. It's a social media battle, and like the other things that they talk about is, will you limit the amount of electricity I'm allowed to use? No. The utility will not limit the amount of power you can use. Okay, so that's kind of a nebulous answer, because the utility won't limit it, but the government might. Some higher authority than the utility might implement something and limit the power use. Wasn't necessarily the electricity. It's just all these games. So
you know what it sounds like to me, Kenny? See if this sounds familiar at all. Okay, guys, we need you to put some inventory in on this product, and you need to invest $20,000 to get your people trained. And for that, we're not going to set anybody else up in your territory. We've all heard those stories, right? It starts out in a certain way, but it can go a different way. And I'm just an advocate of saying, keep an eye on it. We got a post by a guy named Minivan Jack that's somewhere, Ken. Maybe we can put a link in the show notes, but we've got it on the site. He is all the way on the other side of this. I would even almost could at this stage of the game almost call him a nutcase, but he does bring pause for thought, because you take two extremes and the truth is someplace in the middle, and I'm an advocate of the fact that this all sounds great and almost sounds too good to be true, the smart meters and all that, so it probably is, and I think we just need to know what we're going to be paying for with it. But the fact, Kenny, that the social media piece that you got in the mail, Pennsylvania says this, we're installing these smart meters whether you like it or not because it's a Pennsylvania law. Well, how did the law get made, and and who paid to get the law made? It's we could talk about this forever, and I think we should get off of it for now.
Well, there was one more point that I wanted to just bring up, and it was, will the smart meter affect my health? No.
Yes.
No. Numerous studies have shown that smart meters using radio frequency technologies pose no health risk. While smart meters emit a low level of RF exposure from smart meters is a fraction of the level that comes from other commonly used household devices, including cell phones, garage door openers, televisions, microwaves, wireless internet, and baby monitors. So there you go, Mr. Stromquist. So I think that...
now, my question for you, Ken, on a scale of 1 to...
here now, so we got to be...
Well, hang on. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm just going to ask you straight up about the health thing. I mean, I have no doubt that they're probably the same as cell phones, but I don't think cell phones are good for you. So well, I mean, do you really believe if they did have studies that showed that they were bad for you, that would keep them from putting them in?
Yes, certainly. I think just like microwave, as you have it, again, and technology keeps improving, and radio frequency, that the whole technology will improve. And if there's a way to keep things healthier and safer, I think I really still believe in humanity, and I still believe that, like you said, as long as we have watchdog agencies, as long as we have Minivan Jacks, they'll constantly keep these people in check. But we'll always be tuning into a better technology. But when microwaves first came out, they leaked like sieves. We used to sell equipment we measured the leaks around microwaves. And and if you remember correctly, women were recommended. There were signs posted at the doors, microwave in use. It's recommended that pregnant women do not enter this facility while microwaves are in use. Home Depot and some of the other stores used to give you little cards telling you that when the microwave's in use in your kitchen to keep the kids away 4 feet or more. I mean, so there were, we're evolving, we're getting better with the technology, and I think that the problem with the meters wasn't that we're not able to, our bodies aren't able to acclimate, and there will be some people that won't. There'll be a small percentage that are just like allergics, to metals and whatever. So there will be those cases where people will have issues with RF. That's a fact. And we know that RF can't be used everywhere because of certain things. We know that English posts that you can't take a cell phone and give it to an 8-year-old. They have to be a certain age before they're supposed to be allowed to use cell phones because it's a fact they could disturb the development of the brain cells. So, but all things in consideration.
Holy smokes. I just got to stop you right there. So is that just, because I tell you, my daughter Evelyn, who's 2, she's figured out how to get my wife's cell phone. She's figured out the password. We'll probably got to change again, Kenny, because she'll get in there and she'll start dialing people and calling them. Mm-hmm. And blah, 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 blah. And she talks to them, right? I mean, she doesn't say anything. She just jabbers at them because we get calls from people in her cell phone going, I think your daughter called me. I had a voicemail from her. So we got to so if that's really bad we got to get that phone away from her for sure. What about iPad? Do you think they're bad too?
I think anything that uses RF, but particularly the burst, that was the thing I was trying to make. If you look at some of those mini jack videos and whatever, the one scientist from California talked about San Francisco, and what he said was that if the emission was constant, our bodies would adapt to it and would literally adjust to it. But the thing is that this is a sporadic and it's an intense burst. And he's not sure if we're able to cope with that as well as we can with other known problems. I mean, I want them. I want it to work. I want the technology to work. I want them to get safer, better, and I want to be more efficient as a country and as a globe, because we just waste so much of our energy is wasted. It's a fact. And
we do.
And there's no reason for it. We need to get better. We need people to press the envelope. And I believe in the smart meters. I think they're absolutely necessary. And if somebody's able to take that as a and have negative consequences like pollution, just like with the steel mills. Everybody loved industry. We're the biggest steel producer Pittsburgh was, and then we had the most polluted city on earth. So that shows you if negative consequences go unchecked, it'll have a terminus. So the idea is to get in there, like you said, meet that middle ground, have other people involved, have intelligent comments from all sides, of people that are investing in it, that are promoting the technology, the country that needs it to be applied as ubiquitously as possible and as quickly as possible, and have everybody just keep jamming. What do you call that when you have everything? Your mash thing. Where everything,
mash up.
Yeah, keep mashing it up every year. And so this thing we just talked about with the invitation to get involved in the actual privacy, the legislation, the wording, the verbiage that'll be used as to what will be used to enforce people that violate their privacy or whatever. Be a part of that. Hopefully all the major manufacturers have.
Well, and Kenny, I think that's the takeaway. I think the beauty of that post, and I guess circling completely back around on this, I think the deal is now is the time to get involved. If you have any concerns at all, now's the time to get involved. And I guess, me sort of arguing the other side of it is not that I think it's a bad thing, but I think it is something that, we need to take pause. We need to look at it. And I think this voluntary code of conduct thing is something that needs to be looked at and taken seriously, because now I think you're right. Now is the time we're laying the groundwork for what the rules are going to be, and so get involved. Kenny, great post. I want to thank you for putting that one up there. And so now let's move to something a little more volatile. Let's talk about the next post, which was the Control Trends Training High Pressure Refrigeration Controls. All right.
Well, special thanks to Mike Glenn from Johnson Controls for putting on the training video on high pressure. This is part 2. He did the low pressure. We posted that about a month ago. And I'll tell you what, you can never know too much. And the reason why I love these diagrams and these flow charts and is so that when you're troubleshooting, this would be a document I would go to if somebody's telling me they're having problems with their compressor or with this or whatever, because it's so good to have the understanding the flow chart and just I like the visual stuff, so I'd like to look and see, okay, did you check this, or what's your pressure here, blah blah blah. But that's a great post. Why don't you tell us how you got that posted on Control Trends?
Well, Mike Glenn is our local Johnson rep, and I tell you, Johnson just has some fantastic reps. Mike Glenn and Robert Harlan cover our account. And Mike came in. He calls on a lot of the other wholesalers in the Southeast, and needed a venue to get this out. We did a low pressure control one before, which was posted a couple of weeks ago. Mike's going to come back and do some more, but because of the sort of the facility we have at Stromquist and Company right now, it's really conducive for these vendors to come in and do some training videos. And of course, we put it up on Control Trends. People know where it is; they're able to come get it. So. These pressure control posts, Kenny, have been hit a bunch. We will continue with the training videos, and thank you, everybody, for checking in. A special thanks to Mike Glenn for the great job he did with us.
Righto. And the great controls, too, that the pen refrigeration controls have been stalwarts of the business. I mean, the load limit controls from Johnson with the manual reset, automatic reset, just a great bunch of controls. That whole series is...
Well, it's a really cool series, Kenny, and if you look at the diagram, you can see they've got the electromechanical ones, but then they also have one that's like a little portable one. It's just the sensor just taps. The sensor's built into the plug, so the set points and all are set on those. But it's a great space saver. So if you know where you need this thing to make or break, you can just put one of those in. So Johnson really does have quite a complement of really innovative refrigeration controllers. And I think the only other people that are really in that game are Ranco. So you got Ranco and Johnson are your two big players there.
That I'm aware of, yes. I agree. Just they're quiet heroes. They just sell, and they're very reliable.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kenny, what's this Dick Tracy watch thing you got going on here, buddy?
Well, I hope we'll open up another can of worms here, but I really got a kick out of this. I was just getting through some emails, and I saw that Intel Mica, my intelligent communication accessory, is going to be probably ready for this year's Christmas season. And this, to me, now represents the most wearable, intelligent gadget that actually takes up that wearable body real estate without a significant issue. So if you're wearing a watch, this thing would just bump your watch off your wrist, and you're ready to go. You're now in the heart of contextualization. We came up with that contextualization principle, and what that is that it's like some of the other principles, where ultimately things go to the furthest level they can. The ultimate level of incompetency, the Peter principle, and what other principles are you familiar with? But the
infinitesimal principle is a new one. I just understand learning that one today.
Anyhow, this version that we have on our post, the Mica that is ready for, I believe, sale in the retail stores, is a limited featured fashion accessory for stylish women. But we see a few beefed up wearable siblings coming in the near future that have shockproof and waterproof features. Because imagine now you won't need your cell phone. You won't have to have that in your pocket or on your side clamp or however you maintain your phone contact. And your phone, of course, is your link with contextualization. It tells everybody where you're at and what you're doing and what your preferences are because it's your programmed device. Well, imagine now you get your phone ringing on your wrist. You're not driving in a car anymore. You're not holding on to things. You're not texting. It probably doesn't have a texting board that would be doable, so that would limit texting while you're driving. To me, this is like the most consummate device it's wearable, and it takes the lead as a Star Trekky IoT game changer that will link every aspect of your life to a connected device worn on your wrist. So get your visas out. Are probably ready for your holiday purchases, and I got a feeling we'll see the Stromquist family being one of the first folks to try these new Intel Micas out.
Dude, I tell you what, I'm still waiting for the Google Glasses. Dave Lorenzini, where are Google Glasses? Maybe now since we're doing a podcast instead of a video cast, he's backing off on that. But you're right, Kenny. I went down and I got a Samsung phone. I went from Apple to Samsung, and they've got all these big watch type things that you hook up that you can see who's calling you and all kinds of stuff right there with the watch. They're pretty cool looking. They're about $600 or $700. And I almost bought one. It was almost an impulse buy, but I don't wear watches. I just never have. I can't keep up with them. But I think that's coming. I mean, so is it going to be the watch? I mean, it seems like maybe the glasses are sort of going away. I thought that was going to be the wearable technology. I think I'm going to hold out because I'm a minimalist type guy. That's kind of like an infinitesimal. But I'm going to hold out for when they come out with like the brain chip. You just put a little chip in your brain and all that's right there. So your cell phone's in your brain. I'm waiting for that.
Well, I think, number one, the Google Glasses are not gone away. In fact, there's another competitor to the Google Glass I saw somewhere advertised, And Google Glass is doing very well in different countries. Certain police down in South America, the police forces are deployed with Google Glass, and it's just here. I think it ran into a lot of people that didn't feel as comfortable as they might have thought it did. It ran into a lot of resistance, a lot of political resistance. There was a certain governor that took strident measures to forbid the use and wear of Google Glass in his state. So
how come? What was the deal? For safety reasons, or because he didn't want people taking pictures of him?
Probably. I don't want to answer that with my first impulse, but no, it was the governor of Virginia, I believe, West Virginia, said that he thought it was a danger. Just trying to think if I got my post handy here.
Well, I could see where if you got that screen and you're driving down the highway and you're looking at a video or something with your Google Glasses while you're driving, that could be a danger. So he might have a point. I mean,
yeah, he said that here, proposal to use Google Glass while driving. And here's the states that I guess have spoken out. New Jersey, Wyoming, New York, Missouri, and West Virginia have sought to enforce a driving ban. And then somehow they said that the driving bans are unenforceable. I mean, how many police have got their hands full to begin with? At least 8 states have introduced bills that would restrict the use of Google Glass while driving. But the proposed measures targeting the company's high-tech spectacles have stalled, failing to clear a single chamber. But
translation, Kenny. Translation. You want the translation?
I think they're coming, Guy.
Google has not paid them yet, and it's an election year, so I'm really surprised that. So the politicians, they sound like they got their hands out. Because I mean, think about the absurdity of that. You got the glasses. I mean, people are riding around with cell phones, texting on the internet while they're driving with their cell phones. For crying out loud, the glasses would be safer than people doing that on the phones, wouldn't it?
I think you have to adjust. It's just like learning how to drive. Period. You have to learn how to drive with this new technology that could disturb the homeostasis of somebody that has no inclination to use this effectively. So I mean, listen. Let me just say this: that the Google Glass prices have gone down. Google just made its $1,500 device more available to consumers. So the legislators in Maryland, Illinois, Delaware, New Jersey, Wyoming, New York, Missouri, and West Virginia tried to, again, step up, and the bills would apply specifically to head-mounted electronic devices. So, but again, they didn't defeat it in any of the houses. So it's coming.
Who's the competitor, Kenny? You mentioned somebody else has something. Who is that? Tell me about those.
Geez, I'm going to have to try to. I have it saved somewhere, but I'm
because Kenny, I know that my wife asked me this morning what I want for Christmas. I think I'm going to go Google. First, I want to say, never mind. Google Glasses would probably be a good thing.
Well, there's smart eyewear. Let's see. Samsung has launched one. I don't know how good it is. Epson's EPSON, so Epson's Moverio smart glasses, a Google Glass competitor. So those are the two that I have read different things about.
Okay.
So
well,
Samsung,
Kenny, I tell you what. Next week let's do a post on the smart glass alternatives, because I know people are looking for Christmas gifts, and I think smart glasses is one. We talked about the 24K thermostat that Neptronics has, 24 karat gold. So I think that's another one that would be, what do you get the controls guy that has everything? A 24 karat gold thermostat.
Well, we need to revisit that real quick. In other words, we went up to Neptronics and we got to see, we have chrome plated different things outside for fire, the fire prevention and fire. The equipment that you put outside, the sprinklers. I used to sell those things back when I was an inside salesman 100 years ago. And I used to be so impressed with the chrome polished brass or just the real fancy stuff. It was very expensive, but my gosh, did that look cool on the outside of a building. Now that people are breaking them off and stealing them, of course. But the beauty of that 24 karat plated thermostat cover was extraordinary. I hope we get a chance to post that. And these were used in they sold thousands of these. So this is just the outer cover of the thermostat to a couple of hotels in the Middle East. So this is a real thing. This is not a make-believe. So they had silver and gold covers for thermostats that would just knock your socks off, literally. So pretty.
Oh, they do. They do. Yeah, and I know you've been reaching out to Donald Trump trying to get hold of him to sell him some, so hopefully we'll get an update on that progress here in the next week or so.
No, you were trying to sell it to the guy from Virgin Airlines, Mr. Braniston, and you said if you need a Nest, how about getting a 24-karat gold thermostat cover for your Nest?
I like that guy, Kenny. I think that guy, he's one of the coolest business guys ever. I really like him a lot. I wish I had his hair.
Well, he's certainly a successful person, and he's using Nest thermostats on his airplane, so figure that out.
He's a smart guy. All right, big dog. Did Uncle Jesse have a post for us next?
No, this is he's been quiet on his suggestions. I guess he's probably the weather here. When things get cold, this cold, sustained cold, drives up the types of sales that you do in the season with flame safeguard, with gas pressure regulators, solenoid valves. But this actually came from Chuck Stevens again. This is Chuck Stevens is the Northeast Region GC valve point of contact. He's the regional manager for the Northeast, and he put together an incredibly informative website. It's called gcvalves.com, but this is archives for tech tips and FAQs that Chuck has posted on his website. But basically, solenoid valves, people don't realize how many solenoid valves are in use. ASCO has been, over the years, the leader in solenoid valves. The Red Hat series are probably the most recognized solenoid valves in the world, and GC Valves provides a competitive alternate to that. So any general purpose valve, these burner pilot valves, these for oil and natural gas, sell like toilet paper because they're the same quality, same style, same specs, almost end to end, but they just have a much more competitive price. So, but visit the post, but it also has information when you're troubleshooting. In other words, even though this is very simple, there's still a lot of mistakes that are being made. There's still the issues of what you say too with gas pressure regulators and the filters. These things need strainers in front of them, and if you don't, you're just asking for trouble because eventually they'll get gummed up or there'll be some flaking in there or something that will prevent these things from opening and closing completely. So that's a good tip.
I love those tips, Kenny, and thanks to Chuck Stevens, GC Valves. And at some point in time, we're going to have to expand the Control Trends Awards to contain some of the flame safeguard stuff and the burner boiler stuff because there's so many innovative, great companies that make those type products.
They sure are, and the handheld units too. But again, we're growing as fast as we can, and we have to grow intelligently. We can only have so many categories in a period of time, so that we might have to divide it up. But you're right. The flame safeguard people have gone unrecognized here. Some of the talented stuff from the Adelphi, all the other air-fuel ratio people, and certainly the handheld devices, that people like Testo make at Backrack. I mean, you've got some fabulous products out there, but they didn't fit into a category. They didn't make the cut, so to speak, on Innovation Products of the Year, but they were listed, It's just...
Well, I tell you what, Kenny, you mentioned Delphi. I'll just say this real quick, just sort of as a little tease. Honeywell came in about a week or so ago, showed us their new boiler control offering. It's a product called Slate. And let me tell you something, Kenny, it is a game changer. So as soon as Honeywell is a little bit more comfortable releasing information about that, we will be talking about the Honeywell Slate. But all I can tell you, if you are looking to do a boiler upgrade out there in Control Trends land, boiler controls upgrade, hold off until the Honeywell Slate hits the market. It's beta testing right now. The beta tests are going really, really well, but that is going to, in my estimation, dominate the market. So here's a tip. If you're doing a boiler control upgrade, you got one scheduled for right now, hold off, reach out to your local Honeywell Flame Safeguard rep or Honeywell and say, hey, tell me about that Slate, because it is bad to the bone.
Cool.
It's not going to be infinitesimal, Kenny. It's going to be huge. All right, big dog.
Well,
what do we got up next?
Well, this is going to lead into our, some of the awards that we're going to be talking about for the 2014 Control Trends Awards coming up for the residential and commercial thermostat. But this is round is cool again, and we've been tracking thermostats that have been the smart thermostats since they came out. We've monitored and commented and provided information regarding the battle between the round thermostats when it was Nest, and we're now seeing Honeywell coming back and regaining the high ground with the Lyric thermostat. And it's a nice little article that you wrote about that when I was a young person, we sold thousands and thousands and thousands of the T87, the T86.
T87F.
Well, remember the T86 and then the T87, and then we just went for just how many years? 15 years, and then all of a sudden, boom, the thermostat world changed. We got the Jimmy Carter and the what were those chronostats and chronotherms.
Very appropriate, Jimmy Carter. We went from round, big bottom girls, round being cool, to Jimmy Carter, and we all got square.
Right. Well,
very appropriate.
You needed more real estate, remember? So it changed the whole, the whole profile or the whole footprint on a wall changed. It was amazing. Went into construction world first, and California made it a law, so they came out of the woodwork. So
thermostats got ugly.
But they did their job before the electronics reduced the footprint. Form factor. They were in their day marvelous. They made them out of expensive metals. They made them different colors. They even had
mercury.
wood. Well, mercury. I still think mercury took a hit. Mercury is no more dangerous than natural gas. It's just it died in the social marketing war. But mercury was a great media for switches that is sorely missed, and snap acting isn't as...
and they used it for medicinal purposes back in the medieval days. Go ahead.
Well, hey, you could take a can of gas and there's a whole lot of problems.
No, I know. I'm just saying, I'm not fooling around, dude. We're having fun.
But I just because a lot of people, you have a lot of fire protection things that they're grandfathered, but the issues that cause are incredible. Now states can't ship mercury, and you've got a 1910 building with a 50-year-old fire system in it that still works, still functions, still passes its test, but you can't get the switches in it to control the pumps. So it just I don't know, certain things are just it happens. So I'm just move on. But I think that it really like halogen may have taken a hit because of somebody else pushing new technology in. Mercury certainly could have been handled better the way it had to disappear as quickly as it did, and everybody banned it. Now, I'm not saying take mercury and dump it in anywhere or do anything unsafe or unprofessional or whatever with mercury. I'm just saying it had just a tremendous history. But okay, so moving to the thermostat side of things, I think that when Nest came in and just kind of just shocked the world with their marketing tactics and their networking with the iFolks, with Apple, was an incredible thing that we documented, and then. Honeywell just said, you know what, roll up the sleeves, let's go back at this and try it again. What feature does that Lyric thermostat have that you talk about the technology? So as you're coming into town...
One of the things that they talk about is something called geofencing, Kenny.
Right.
And what geofencing basically is the thermostat knows, like, when you get within a certain number of miles of your house or whatever, so then it can make an adjustment. It can bring the heat or cool on if it's unoccupied, and it knows you're 5 miles from the house or whatever. It picks up on where you're at and begins to take your space to the desired temperature.
That sounds neat. Do you think it works?
Don't know. I suspect it does. I don't think Honeywell would have put it out if it didn't work. But yeah, I don't. We've been reaching out to our friend Mike Keller and Tom Rosbach's over on that division. Now we've been reaching out to those guys forever, saying, "Come on and tell us about this thermostat." So hopefully we can get one of those guys on the show to tell us about it, because I think it's a great stat, and I know that our community, the Control Trends community, wants to know more about it. So Tom, Mike, if you guys are listening, please. It's like we're only going to invite you to dinner so many times before we get our feelings hurt. So you're invited again.
Right. Well, I tell you, I've been reading the comparisons with Nest, and I've been reading about it, and it seems to be very successful. I know they're taking a big initiative at the AHR show. We're going to see a lot about the Lyric. So when people go to the AHR show 2015 at Chicago's McCormick Convention Center, hopefully they'll visit our show, the Control Trends Awards, right in the Prairie Ballroom. But make sure you get down and see this thing, because I'm sure they're going to have some very, very informative, some presentations that are going to be, very, very convincing and compelling to start getting into the smart thermostats. And again, I'm sure this is already ADR.
I'm sure it is too, because Mike and Tom are super, super smart. Well, I'll tell you what, Kenny, real quick, I also found a video. I haven't had a chance to really look at it very deeply yet, but it's something that's CNET, the Computer Network magazine, been around forever. They do all kinds of reviews and all. I found a video where they're comparing Honeywell with Nest. And again, I don't know what the conclusions are because I haven't seen the whole thing yet. I'll go ahead and post that too so our listeners can take a look at that and see what CNET says about Honeywell versus Nest. But Kenny, I tell you what, while we're here, we're getting closer to where the voting period is going to start for the Control Trends Awards. So since we had the residential thermostat, why don't we break down some of the thermostats? Let's talk about residential stats today and the commercial stats. Let's break them down for our listeners.
Certainly, Eric. We have the residential thermostat finalists are the Nest, ecobee, Honeywell RedLink, InTouch, and Honeywell Lyric. I think we've already discussed some of the Nest features and benefits. It's a marvelous thermostat. It's pretty. It has its own community. If you go to Nest's website, they also have a carbon monoxide tester. And again, Nest is a little bit ahead of the game regarding the ADR, and they've done a lot of homework. They've projected where things are going to be. They take ordinary products and they make them special, and they've got almost a cultish following. And man, you say something bad about the Nest to the wrong person, and he wants to ask you to come outside so he can defend his Nest thermostat. And I think it's more of a concept versus the actual. But it's a heck of a thermostat. I also saw a video where they took it apart and they said that component by component, they don't know how these people make money only charging $200 and some because it's got really good stuff in it, and it's very very forward thinking. And oops, that's Honeywell. So we better slide right down to that Honeywell RedLink. I tell you, we sell them, just a ton of them. The Honeywell RedLink is just moving on. It too has a complete package solution. I mean, you could take a RedLink thermostat and connect it to your house or your commercial building and control a lot of information. Why don't you talk about the RedLink, and I'll prepare for ecobee.
Well, I'll tell you what, RedLink to me, Kenny, is they really make the rectangular stat look good. They are gorgeous. I think when Nest came out, and by the way, Google owns Nest now, so it's interesting. I think they are looking, Kenny talked about the concept of contextualization earlier. We got a pretty good authority from our friend Therese Sullivan that's the main reason they bought Nest was they're going to contextualize the whole homeowner experience, and the thermostat's a big part of it. So, but the RedLink, Kenny, is just solid. I mean, the one thing that Honeywell has that I don't think anybody else has is they've got over 100 years of know-how that goes into these thermostats. RedLink, fantastic. It's gorgeous. After Nest came out with their cool design, Honeywell redesigned their RedLink, so now you can, the prestige stat that goes with that, so you can actually have different colored screens to match your decor because how they look does matter. You can actually take those things at a commercial level. There's actually a Niagara driver now that will talk to those. So, you can use these things in commercial applications as well and bring those things back into a front-end building automation control system if you want to. So, it's really and truly, I think Honeywell gives you the choice of if you like this. It gets down to styling because I think the functionality is very similar. But with Honeywell, if you like the round, they've got the Lyric. If you like the rectangular and being able to link other stuff in your home via the RedLink network together, that RedLink provides you with a systems approach as opposed to just a thermostat.
Right on, Eric. And so you got the round, you got the square, and then you have ecobee 3. ecobee 3 is the smarter Wi-Fi thermostat with remote sensors for homes with more than one room. And this is quite a thermostat, and congratulations to ecobee. This ecobee 3, the marketing, instead of taking the Nest look, they came up with a very dynamic, beautiful black thermostat that has new features. Instead of having the up-down arrows, it has a slider. So you can take your finger, and just like you use with any kind of touch screen, you slide up or down to set your set points. It is just amazing. It's comfort where it matters, meaning that ordinarily thermostats read temperature in only one room, but are supposed to deliver comfort to many rooms. The ecobee thermostat, it basically gives you the opportunity to use remote sensors that deliver the right temperature in the rooms that matter most. So you have a whole different approach. And then who's our guy there? Stuart
Lombard. I want to get back to ecobee real quick. So
let me just say that one more thing about it is that he makes a comment that everybody made a big deal about Nest. Where really the true pioneers in the smart thermostat was ecobee.
So Stuart Lombard said that about himself?
Yes.
Okay. Well, hey, Stuart Lombard, we're calling you again. It's another Control Trends Awards. Our community, and we actually sell a bunch of your thermostats. We're one of your distributors. I think Kenny is too. Hey, the Control Trends community wants to hear from you, buddy. We're reaching out again. come on the show, tell us about your stat. We'd like to make sure our Control Trends community gets educated on you and your company. So you have another invitation. All right, Kenny. So hopefully we'll hear back from Stuart, because he is a very articulate, bright guy, and ecobee does good stuff. So I think they are definitely in the hunt this year.
Sure is, Eric. The last one we have, and you know, I think some of the things we're learning as we get more experience ourselves with the Control Trends Awards and with the categories, we had kind of a I don't want to say a snafu, but we had some of the thermostats that were listed. We rely on the Control Trends community to put the suggestions that they want. They nominate the categories, and we try to steer that using information on the show and encourage it. But are aware that InTouch Controls has so much of a following, and the thermostat's so good that they got nominated in both categories. For their InTouch thermostat is listed in both the residential and commercial thermostats. Now, I can believe it. I'm just saying that, we had some people ask us, what's that all about? And I say that, we only let they won in the residential category. They were nominated by people voting for them in both of those two categories, the residential and the commercial. So they got a great thermostat. I mean, we all know that, but they can handle a large house, much the way that has so much square foot and has commercial equipment that maybe and it has all the bells and whistles, a hosted website, and it does energy monitoring and does demand limit. So the thermostat's very formidable, and there's so many large residences now and duplexes and just multi or just large I guess cubic feet is where you get I've drove past a couple neighborhoods and houses where I've seen air handlers and just commercial equipment is on residential applications, so they need a commercial thermostat to handle all that firepower.
Well, I think InTouch is very much like the Honeywell Red Link. In other words, it can play in residential market if you want it to, and if you have a big enough residence, it makes sense. But it really is designed for commercial as well. Smaller company, Greg Fasulo, James Walton, and those guys. Kenny, these guys are lean and mean, meaning that if you need to get something done, I know we had a school system where they had the trailers out there with the thermostats in them, and wirelessly we're connecting to them, and they needed a different algorithm in their stat. This is how we got onto InTouch originally. Which was a software development. And we talked to 3 or 4 different people, and they were saying, well, it'll be 5 years or 3 years or whatever, and they got to promise us they're going to buy this many stats. We reached out to InTouch. They had it done in like 3 weeks. And these guys are very responsive. The stats gorgeous. They do a couple unique things with it, Kenny. They have some other, like you said, some other pieces built into it, so you can actually monitor the energy consumption of a couple pieces of equipment if you want to. It goes up to the cloud where you can monitor your energy, so it allows you to do some level 1 diagnostics. In other words, you can begin to see what units are pulling, how much load, compare those if you got more than one unit, and sort of see what's being more efficient. They've got some switches where you can monitor like door switches or freezers if you want to. If you if you hit in the search box InTouch, our Dozier Mills has installed a bunch of them and does some great installation videos about all the features and things you can get out of them. But these guys, InTouch, very, very strong, Kenny. They're deserving whether it's residential or commercial. But check those guys out. We saw a lot of them, and they work well. But what's really important to me and a lot of our customers, Kenny, is they really stand behind their product, and the customer support is extraordinary.
It sure is, and they're just great guys too. I mean, you talk about people that love what they do for a living. These guys here, it's always impressed me how enthusiastic and how engaging they are, and willing to help you out. So when you need more technical information, there's nothing better than to be able to call a number, get 24/7 support, and those guys do it. So that wraps up the residential thermostats, Eric. I'm wondering if we're at the 1 hour, 6-minute mark. Do we want to keep going into the commercial stats, or should we?
Well, I tell you what, let's push commercial off to next week. Maybe we can get, because I think ecobee's up for commercial as well. Maybe we'll hear back from Stuart Lombard, and maybe we can get Greg Fasulo or James Walton to come onto the show. So we'll cover commercial thermostats next week. Part of the goal, Kenny, I want to break down each one of these categories before the final voting ends. So we will hopefully have guests on for you to learn from and product demos. So I say we move on to the next post, Kenny, and we'll begin to wrap her up.
Sounds good. We got 2 more posts left. We have how does a VFD pay for itself? This is a great post by Stacy from Stromquist, and basically Stromquist hosted a Drive to Savings Day with Siemens and GA Power. That's a pretty cool thing to educate customers on the benefits of VFDs and GA Power's current rebate programs for VFDs and other HVAC equipment. Now I could keep reading here, but I'll tell you what, I was so impressed with this that 2 reasons why. One was that you, Mr. Stromquist, now are you're kicking up some storms down there with learning about energy and seeing how Atlanta and Georgia is a leader, a national leader in all these programs. So tell us about this day you had there down at the Stromquist company.
Well, a special thanks to Josh Felburn. He's our Siemens rep. Josh came up with an idea. We have a marketing team, and we're always trying to find innovative ways to create value for our customers. When they come into our training center, we're providing them with useful information. So Josh suggested we get hold of Georgia Power, which we did. Georgia Power brought their team in to talk about the rebate programs, and we talked about the Siemens VFD, which is just up for the 2014 VFD of the Year. Fantastic VFD. We'll cover that in more detail when we get to talking about VFDs. But long story short, Kenny, oh my gosh, do you realize that in Georgia, you get a $50 rebate per horsepower if you put a VFD on an existing piece of equipment? So let's put that in perspective. 40 horsepower drive, new piece of equipment, $50 a piece. That's $2,000 rebate you're going to get back on it, which in some instances will cover the cost of the drives, and if not, very, very close. So it's almost like you're getting these VFDs for free. And then let's talk a little bit about how much money these things save, because it's not a linear savings you get off of these VFDs. It's exponential, meaning you reduce that your drive speed by 10%. I mean, you are bumping up your energy savings by 30 to 40 to 50%. I don't know the curve. We have it on Control Trend someplace. I don't know whether you know that off the top of your head or not, Kenny. But it's,
I'm sorry, was that Eric?
Well, it's an exponential savings. In other words, if you reduce the speed by 10%.
We have that. That's a post on Control Trends. In fact, we'll bring it right up. I'll have a link for that one on this post. But yeah, once you get over a certain percentage, your savings increases by 50%. So if you lower the frequency or the hertz 10%, your savings is that exponential number, and there's a graph. So I don't want to hazard.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can, but it's by a 3x or 4x factor. It's 30 or 40%.
Agreed. Yes, it's huge.
So let's put this in perspective. We're all going to Thanksgiving, right? And one of the really cool things about our industry is that. And Kenny and I are trying to is we are really the badasses of the world right now. So next time you're over and we all got the relative who's a stockbroker or an investment banker or something like that who's going to be talking about his portfolio and how his portfolio or how he help people make 10 or 15% on their money this year, which, by the way, it's been a bull market. So you can look at him and just say, you could throw darts at a dartboard and do that in this market. So you just turn over and you look at him and say, well, you think that's good. Let me tell you what I do for our clients. For $500 or less, in other words, we'll give you a 90% discount. I'll get you a rebate, so you get a 90% discount on a piece of equipment that's going to reduce your energy consumption by 40% on a unit. And guess what? It does that forever with minor maintenance that you have to go in and do. So top that, hotshot, right? So remember that when you're at the Thanksgiving table. You guys have the ability to outshine the arrogant stockbroker relative that's going to be bragging about all their great investments.
Well, there you go.
So, Kenny, because you've got some of those in your family, don't you? Maybe not the arrogant part.
Well, you know what? The truth is that we VFDs. I got one in my trunk to make delivery next week, but. I think that, again, it's such an untapped market. Here we know that, I'm looking at the energy savings, that the government gives you all of the rebates, energy cost savings calculations for energy efficient products, VFDs. So, I mean, it's such a win-win-win situation. In other words, and these things have 3-year warranties. A VFD should be a contractor and an end user's best friend. a building owner should ask his contractor when he comes in, says, do I have VFDs on all my pumps and all my fan motors? Because if I don't, I want them because of two reasons. One, I get rebates and I get allowances to buy them. And then two, the return on investment, which is my biggest index as far as how much money I can invest in, and is it a value a good value proposition? Is it's unbelievably solid and verifiable. How come we're not selling VFDs? We should be stop everything else and just sell VFDs all day and night, right?
Dude, I tell you what, that's what I'm thinking about. I think it's an absolute no-brainer. And but I think if you just go in and talk to somebody about, hey, do you have VFDs on this? They're not going to get it. And actually, I think you might have to go up the food chain and talk to the financial guys, because the energy savings they're going to get with what it's going to cost them. I mean, you cannot get any more leverage or a better financial investment than that. I mean, you just can't. And hey, real quick, Kenny, our friend Mark Jewell. I talked to him the other day. I think he's going to come on Control Trends. He's actually written a book, but a guy like Mark Jewell would just tear this up. Mark Jewell is a guy who teaches people how to talk to business people about automation systems and the investments you make in your building. But this is, Kenny, just a no-brainer. And I got 4 VFDs in my car right now, one on each tire, the Tesla.
No kidding. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought so. I knew the VFD played a role somewhere in that test, but that is so cool. So the computer sends out the message simultaneously to all the towers to go to a certain frequency, basically, or certain hertz, right? I
think that's what it does, buddy. I think that's what it does. But Kenny, I tell you what, let's put this under the guise of, and I think this is our smart building tip of the week, okay? Because we are the Smart Building Podcast. And what we really do controls what we call the Smart Building Podcast, quite candidly, because we're trying to get more SEO ratings and attract more people in. But we do have a Smart Building tip of the week for you, which is if you do not have variable frequency drives in your building, reach out to your controls professional or reach out to your local utility, find out what those rebates are, and get them installed. You won't be sorry. You'll save energy, you'll have better temperature control, and it will pay for itself many, many, many times over.
Right, and also keep in mind there's a 3-year warranty by most manufacturers if you use an authorized agent. There's energy and cost savings calculators galore. If you go into Google and type in VFD energy cost savings, you're not getting a spin here because the government has one right on the energy.gov website. Honeywell has one on their website. Siemens has one on their website. Johnson, I'm sure, has one on their website because it's all very basic stuff. So what I'm saying is that the typical marketing glib is not really how you sell it. You sell it through actual putting numbers into what you have, what kind of application you have, what size motor you have, what all the boilerplate information gets fed into there, and you put in a percentage of use and hit enter, and it comes up with some very realistic and compelling information.
Yes, it does, Kenny Smyers. Yes, it does. Okay. Kenny, our last post of the week, it looks like our friend George Thomas, you got something up on him. Speak about that, if you would.
Yes, we do. I'll tell you, Contemporary Controls just keeps, again, when I think about people doing a lot of work behind the curtains, and some of the unsung heroes, I think our industry has just, we take for granted that there's a product out there that makes work, makes our applications work. And what I really like about it is that these guys here now, Contemporary Controls, are a great site and source of information. Whether you want to know about BACnet, if you have issues with routers, different manufacturers use these. We sell their routers when we go from, when we use the different controllers. We need a router to go from this to that, and Contemporary Controls is where we go. And they came out with a BAS Gateway LX controller now. It's available. We got the post yesterday, so I'm assuming it's up and ready to go and for sale. But basically, they simplified some very challenging things. The BAS Gateway LX uses a CSV file that is uploaded to it to provide the Modbus point list that would be pulled. So Contemporary Controls builds these Modbus maps and posts them on their BAS Gateway LX profile page. So there's a situation basically where PLC implementers define their map is not applicable. For example, we develop a Modbus map for a specific boiler. These Modbus points are always the same for identical boiler models. So that in the PLC application, the logic developer defines what values will be assigned to which Modbus points. For every job, the point mapping may be unique. But Contemporary Controls can still build a map, and so they now have a video showing you how to use their product, how to build your own map, And I just think it's an incredible source of information, because when I went on there, I got to see the Modbus device profiles, and they have all the manufacturers from Airco, beginning with Airco, Eaton, Eamon Demon, Liebert, Lochinvar, Schneider Electric, Spirax, Sarkel, Thermocon. So they have all this information there that you can now get go to Contemporary Controls website and get their Modbus Profile Builder video tutorial to apply the Modbus device for your job using their BAS Gateway LX. So I mean, it's very, very, very informative. And so once you go onto their page, you just have so much. If you have time, you can read about their the solutions that they have for industrial automation, building automation, commercial automation. But they're the experts on network communications, and it's just they give it away. There's videos, there's all kinds of support documentation, and a willingness to support you. If you buy their product, you can rest assured they're going to help you make it work.
Well, they do. And, Kenny, we talk a lot about George Thomas. We met him for the first time, at least I did. Had the privilege of being on a panel with him at the first Haystack Connect meeting back almost a year ago, I think, a year and a half ago. Super nice guy, but definitely, you talk about the smartest guy in the room. This guy is just beyond. And their company and the products they create and the value they create in the marketplace, I tell you what, they are a company to behold. And George is up for the Executive of the Year, I think. Contemporary Controls is up for an award. Several of their products are up for awards. So we'll be breaking those guys down, and hopefully we'll get George on the show here in the next couple of weeks. So, but we're big fans of George Thomas and Contemporary Controls.
We sure are. And again, so there'll be URL hot buttons to go check out the Contemporary Controls. But basically, it's an incredible gateway from Modbus to BACnet, and hats off to Contemporary Controls for another outstanding product.
Okay. So, Kenny, before we hop off here, a couple things. Want to reach out to our Control Trends community. Let us know if there's in comments if there's something we can be doing better with the podcast. We appreciate that. Kenny and I have periodically tried to reinvigorate the video casts as well, where we could do them simultaneously. And I tell you what, I don't know whether anybody knows what's going on with Skype or not, but boy, it seems like they have really cut back on the bandwidth. Every time we try it, Kenny, the things just crash. And all I can figure is they pull back on our bandwidth. So if anybody knows what's going on with Skype or has any suggestions, we would really appreciate that. We'd love to get back to the video cast as well. But if there's anything we can be doing better, any topics you want us to cover, please reach out in comments, and we really appreciate everybody listening. So with that, Kenny, I'll just say let's wish everybody a very, very happy Thanksgiving. That's coming up this Thursday, and I'm heading out of town Monday, so I'll be out, but we will be posting on Control Trends this week, and we'll be live next week again on Control Talk Now. So, Kenny, anything you want to say before we hop off?
No, just we wish everybody happy holidays, have a great Thanksgiving, and go Steelers. No, just kidding. No,
go Steelers.
They have
go Falcons.
They have a bye week. They have a bye week. So
Falcons are 2 games under 500 and are in first place. Go figure. So, so I guess that's something to be thankful for, Kenny. But got a lot to be thankful for, and we really appreciate all our listeners. So with that, Kenny Smyers, that's another week of Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings podcast for the week ending November 24th, 2014. I'm Eric Stromquist. He's the man, the myth, the legend, Ken Smyers. Have a great week and stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers.